You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nebby here from Drakewing Gaming, and Sunny on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of A Fall from Grace. So y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go! Terrence shook the coyote's hand softly before turning back to face the lion. Let me see, was this the what we paused on? No, let me see. Let's see, yes it was. Okay, alright. I know there was a, was this what we paused on? I think so. Could have sworn we were, already, saw a bit of the party. Okay, whatever, let's do it, okay. Oh, you won't believe it, Rudyard is here. He actually showed up after everything he did. Goodness gracious, the absolute nerve that serpent has. After the scandal, too? Cedric gazed around the entrance as the other two grew engaged in the latest gossip. It was certainly very impressive, marble floors and statues all around complementing the building's neoclassical design. Noticing the lack of engagement on Cedric's part, Terrence redirected his attention to the coyote. Well, I must say it's a pleasure to meet you at last. We've heard much about you, sir. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we skipped that already, so... Yeah, what the hell? What the hell, game? There, okay. This is where you meet Elizabeth. The couple returned a polite smile. You may, sirs. Elizabeth walked over to Cedric, extending her hand, which the coyote bent down to kiss. My, such a courteous young lad. I certainly hadn't gotten such a greeting as yours yet this evening. What is your name? Cedric, ma'am. Elizabeth. Pleasure. A booming voice echoed throughout the hall, belonging to one of the servants who was announcing which dance was to follow. Gentlemen and ladies, the next dance will be the Collier's daughter. The musicians began to play an elegant tune, and the moment they did so, the dancing and socializing resumed like clockwork. And where do you hail from, Cedric? Oh, he looks so fucking jealous. Oh my god. What a little bitch. I'm a local, you could say. A town just about half an hour from here, though my family is actually related to the Durrells from Bath. Ah, charming. They are the most delightful people indeed. Small talk really wasn't his forte, but a social event warrants social interaction, and Cedric seemed to be off to a decent start. Aye, though sadly fallen on hard times as of late. Are you acquainted with Emily Durrell by chance? Cedric smiled. Emma's my second cousin. She's accompanied me on many a long summer walk here in the countryside over the years. And what are your favorite pastimes, if I may ask? Sketching, painting, traveling, attending orchestral performances and operas. I tend to prefer the arts to more physical activities, something which can elevate the soul beyond our everyday life. As he spoke, his gaze drifted to Lysander and Hortense, who were conversing close by. He picked up on Lysander glancing his way a few times, but didn't think much of it. The lion must have been curious to see how Cedric was getting on. What about you, Miss Elizabeth? I admire your poetic view. However, I do prefer physical pastimes myself. I spend a lot of time horse riding and have done so since I was a child. You'd probably consider that to be a manly activity, but I have no time for such notions. I suppose that's something you ought to know about me. The coyote breathed an internal sigh of relief. He had been worried he'd only end up talking to stuffy and snobbish folks at this event, but was glad to have found someone who wasn't afraid of being more honest. Your progressive thoughts do not fall on deaf ears, Miss Elizabeth. Especially since during my childhood I was oftentimes scolded for having more feminine interests. As you're not a woman, you might not recall this, Mr. Cedric, but my sisters and I were brought up on these awful old books teaching us ladylike manners. I'd have them all burned if I had any say about their publishing. Cedric replied jokingly. Literary censorship is a heavy topic, Miss Elizabeth, quite unbecoming of a ballroom. Most men are quite unbecoming of a ballroom, and yet here they are. I like her. It was hard for the two to not burst out laughing as the dance came to a close and they bowed to each other. This conversation had exceeded Cedric's expectations to the point he genuinely hoped he'd get a chance to have a more casual back and forth with the doe. It was a pleasure dancing with you, sir. Perhaps we may speak again in half an hour or so. I'd enjoy that very much. Certainly, miss, and the pleasure is all mine. Lysander and Cedric swapped partners for the following dance, the coyote introducing himself to Hortense as gracefully as he had done with Elizabeth with a flash of newfound confidence, causing the sparrow to grow red in the face. Gentlemen and ladies, the next dance will be the 10-pound lass. I've been told you're an avid reader, Master Cedric. I hope Lysander hasn't said anything too embarrassing to you regarding my person. Apologies in advance if so. But indeed, I always enjoy immersing myself in another world, or a different part of our own world for a few hours, or even days depending on the book. The Sparrow grinned. I know the feeling well. Have you ever been too immersed in a story? What do you mean? As in, immersed to the point you're almost unable to go back to reality once you've put the book down. It's such a tonal clash. Your mind doesn't want to accept the fact that the novel you've just read isn't real. Cedric pondered the thought for an instant. That's fascinating, though I can't really say I have. Wait a moment, you're right. There was one novel that did that to me. I wasn't able to think for 2 days after finishing it. It hit too close to home. A reality I wished was my own more than any other story I've read. It was... I apologize. I didn't mean for the conversation to get so personal. Nonsense. I'm the one who brought up the subject in the first place. And it just goes to show you're a sensitive soul, Mr. Cedric. It was at this moment Cedric realized Lysander was staring at him again. This began to unnerve the coyote as he wondered if he'd gotten anything on his shirt or messed up his hair without realizing. Yeah, Lysander's a fucking creep. Alright, 1 second, y'all. Water's on. Alright, guys and gals, and we are back. I'm just letting y'all know that when this video goes up, I'm probably going to be at FWA. I'm going to FWA this year, so yeah, I forgot to mention that at the start of the video, y'all. So, yeah. Y'all enjoy the extra content while I'm on my vacation. I don't know if I'm going to have videos made for every day, but I sure as hell am going to try. Anyway. Alright. He briefly turned to look in one of the hall's large mirrors, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. Perhaps he said something unbecoming without thinking. It wouldn't have been the first time that happened. He wished the lion would stop playing games with him and just be straightforward sometimes. But he had no chance of confronting him until the dances were over, and all he could feel with each passing step was that unsettling, piercing gaze. You and your friend are dressed very finely this evening. Cedric returned to his senses, replying to Hortense with a slight stutter. Thank you, ma'am. It's nothing over the top. We do like taking care of how we present when it comes to social events. He chuckled. Though once we attended a masked ball and wore the most insane outfits for it. That was a laugh. We still have them stored away somewhere. I could show you if you ever chose to pay us a visit. I'd most certainly love that. Damn, he's getting all the women. As their second dance came to a close, the two bowed and stepped to the side of the room. A group of younger girls rushed up to them, surrounding Cedric before he even had a chance to speak to the lion. Good evening, sir. My name is Bella, and these are my sisters Jeanette and our friends This is my sister Jeanette and our friends Rose and Sarah. We just wanted to say we think you look exceedingly handsome. The others gasped at Sarah's bluntness. Sarah? Really? It's true? Would you do us the honor of leading one of us in the next dance? Cedric grinned at their enthusiasm, feigning a confident attitude and deepening his voice. Certainly, as long as I don't create a feud between you depending on which of you lovely girls I pick. As he jokingly spoke those words, a furious Lysander violently stormed past them, vanishing among the other guests. What was wrong with him? He usually prided himself on etiquette at these sorts of events. Had Cedric done or said something to upset him? He excused himself from the young girls and rushed over to Elizabeth and Hortense. The two had just been offered a couple of wine glasses by one of the waiters and picked up a third one from the tray to give to Cedric the moment they saw him approach. Mr. Cedric, please have a drink with us. We'd love to chat a bit more with you. Oh my goodness. He's just getting all of them. Cedric, good lord. I'm awfully sorry, Miss Elizabeth, Miss Hortense, but I can't. My friend has just rushed off without saying a word. Their eyes widened. Do you have any idea where he might have been heading to? Did he tell either of you by any chance? No, I'm afraid not. Is everything all right? There seemed to be something a little off about him, even though I hardly know the man. Thank you so much, ladies. I ought to go looking for him, as he's my only ride back for the night. I'll see you again soon, I hope. Damn, Cedric, you straight pimpin'. Much respect. Most certainly. Have a lovely evening, sir. Cedric wasn't able to hide his frustration at this turn of events. He made his way towards the entrance hall again, as that was the direction he'd see Lysander going in. But this was to no avail. The lion was nowhere to be seen here either. Turning to looking back into the ballroom, Cedric noticed the familiar shape of an owl sliding amongst the guests. Chasing after, he yelled out Terrence's name, trying to be heard over the music and the other guests' voices. This worked on his third attempt, and Terrence finally came to a halt and politely nodded upon noticing who had been calling him. Cedric, what seems to be the matter? I'm sorry, have you seen Lysander? I can't find him anywhere. The owl wasn't able to hide a pinch of annoyance upon being disturbed for what sounded like such a trivial issue. I'm afraid not. I was busy talking to some guests till a moment ago. How about you try asking one of my servants in the entrance hall? If Ly had headed that way, they might have seen him walk past. Ah, yes, good idea. Cedric ran to the main hall, getting the attention of two of the servants standing near the door, as each quick step he took on the marble floor echoed all around him. He spoke up before catching his breath, growing more and more stressed out by the minute. Excuse me, have you seen a tall lion with a dark mane walk past? Perhaps he went outside. We've seen many guests come and go, sir. It's nigh impossible to keep track of all of them. Why was every person he asked irritated by his questions? Rage began to bubble up within the coyote until the other servant broke the silence. I saw a lion walk past just a couple minutes ago. You did? He didn't tell us where he was headed. He didn't even look at us for that, as a matter of fact. But yes, he headed outside. Must have needed a breath of fresh air. These events can get rather stuffy, you know. Mind your tongue, son. We're speaking to a gentleman. Our apologies, sir. The coyote darted away again without waiting for the two to finish their back and forth, running down the entrance steps two at a time, crossing the gravel path and reaching the damp grass. Lysander! He called out his friend's name but received no reply. He couldn't have left. No way. Why the fuck didn't he tell me where he was going? Yeah, okay, so this... One thing I'll say is that, even internally, they probably would not have been saying this to themselves back during these times. So it breaks the immersion just a little bit, Like it breaks the immersion just a little bit, like any more than the animal people do. But it's a period piece. He almost didn't notice a large fountain in front of him and managed to just avoid tripping over and falling into the icy cold water. A more natural-looking wooded area now appeared before him, almost sinisterly beckoning at him to enter as if he were... almost sinisterly beckoning at him to enter it if he so dared. Ly, please, where are you? He stood still, trying to discern any sign of movement close by. This was stupid. He should have just headed back to the manor house. Surely Elizabeth or Hortense would offer to give him a ride home. With a sudden rustling of leaves, a dark shape emerged and brushed past the coyote. Cedric almost jumped out of his skin. What the... Leave me alone. That was obviously not the right time. What happened? What's wrong? I can't help you if you don't tell me anything. He chased after the lion, struggling to keep up with him until they reached the steps of the manor house. Is it something I said? Lysander addressed one of the servants, ignoring his friend and avoid even looking in his direction. Go fetch our carriage. We're going home. This was a mistake. Cedric had to fight back tears. Why? I want to know why. I've changed my mind about this, and it's final. I'm staying here. Don't you dare. You won't have a home to return to. After hearing those words, Cedric almost felt the liquid seeping out of a hot wound inflicted to his chest. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon or YouTube memberships if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!